and another daily cinephile vlog right before I head to bed. I just a quick thing I was thinking about. Um Another complex set of circumstances that I set myself up for within my head. I've been watching The Bad Batch on Disney Plus. It's pretty good. Do like Star Wars material, and I'm one of the few Star Wars fans out there who seems to enjoy most of what comes out of Star Wars. So it makes sense that I enjoyed The Bad Batch. However, I never finished the Clone Wars. I'm currently watching it, and after that I plan to get to Rebels, possibly Resistance, and then some of the other older non-canon animation shows after that. I always get held up on if it's fair to watch something before finishing everything as far as continuity goes. And I mean more in release order. Doesn't make sense, I guess, to jump in years after the fact and then have to watch everything chronologically when, in the case of Star Wars, they're still releasing things out of chronological order. Like The Bad Batch doesn't take place after Rebels or Resistance. It takes place after the Clone Wars and before Rebels. And even then, it's before some of the other Star Wars films as well. Like, it's before Rogue One. It's even before Solo. It's actually, right after Revenge of the Sith, which is kind of cool. It's actually the part of Star Wars I've always been really curious about, how they transition things from Revenge of the Sith to A New Hope. And I know Rogue One is kind of there to do that, as well as the Rebels TV show that I haven't gotten to yet, and same with Solo. Solo's a little earlier in those years, and I actually enjoyed Solo. Like I said, I'm one of the Star Wars fans who actually seems to enjoy most Star Wars things, but The Bad Batch is pretty early. It's right after Revenge of the Sith, and one of the concepts I'm most interested in with that transition is how they went from using clones to using recruitments again, like traditional warfare. And this show is actually kind of going into that, and I still don't know exactly where it leads. And I'm sure some of the books, as far as the new Disney canon go, have maybe delved into it a little, but I haven't heard anything about it. But anyway, my whole point is that, is it fair to watch something like The Bad Batch if you haven't finished Clone Wars? I know that these characters actually weren't introduced until the final season that was recently produced just for Disney Plus of the Clone Wars. They were introduced in one of the first episodes, if not the first episode, if I might be misremembering, but I believe that was the only appearance that they had in the Clone Wars, and then The Bad Batch got their own spinoff. And I always feel like, oh, should I be watching this show yet if I haven't watched this other show? Should I be watching every single episode of the Clone Wars before I watch The Bad Batch? And then if I go in order of things that are released, should I be watching Rebels before that? And to a lesser extent, should I also be watching Resistance before I finally watch The Bad Batch? And it's kind of a setup I make for myself where there's a lot of things that I always feel conflicted about getting involved in. I have this issue with Star Trek. Star Trek, I hear The Next Generation is a great TV show. And I've seen the movies. I've seen all the Star Trek movies, and I've seen the Next Generation movies. I've seen the J.J. Abrams movies. But as far as the TV shows go, I still refuse to watch The Next Generation unless I watch the original series. And I started watching the original series. I come back to it here and there, but I haven't actually sat down to binge it. As I've said in videos before, I'm not much of a binger. I can't really sit there and watch many episodes of a TV show in a row. Maybe some sitcoms I can, just for, that's just the kind of material they produce. But very few shows I can do that with. I did it with Cobra Kai. That was a very, if you've seen that video, it's like, that was a very unique situation where that show was just like, so it hit everything that I really enjoy out of television. Um, but yeah, so I've always held off on being a true Trekkie, being a true geek of geek culture, I guess, because I haven't seen everything Star Trek, even though I've meant to. But it's just hard because, you got to start, you got to see all the shows, and I'm a completionist. I love to see everything that's possible, everything that's available, but that's why I still haven't seen something like The Next Generation, because I haven't seen the original series yet. So I can't see The Next Generation until I see the original series, right? The same thing with Star Wars. I can't watch The Bad Batch unless I watch Resistance, which before that Rebels, which before that Clone Wars, right? Well, I don't know. I'm trying to break that rule because honestly, it's a stupid setup for myself that ends up holding me back from keeping up with a lot of really good material. And in the case of The Bad Batch, I was like, I'm going to make this, first of all, having Disney Plus, you got to make it worth it to watch the stuff that's available. And plus, there's only so many things that I've actually caught up with fully for almost everything that's available. Like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I've seen everything. And I've kept up with the TV shows. And I don't even think I finished all the Netflix shows, so that's slightly a lie, but, I've seen most of it. But that's a series. Man, even that, I haven't finished absolutely everything, technically. I keep forgetting that there's, like, the freeform TV shows as well. But that's a case where I grew up with it. I've been seeing it happen, so I've been watching it as it happens. It's kind of hard to come into this stuff years after the fact if you haven't watched everything previously. And with the Clone Wars, it's like I didn't watch it when it originally aired. So then it's like, it's too much TV to catch up with in order to watch a show that's currently airing, like The Bad Batch. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to watch The Bad Batch. Anything I'm lost on, I'll just catch up on. It's like, not much can possibly be spoiled. I mean, I've seen the movies. Any of the big events I kind of already know about. So, I don't think it can spoil too much in the Clone Wars that I don't already kind of know happens. And I'll start watching the Clone Wars as well. And I have been. And I've been keeping up with finishing the Clone Wars. But I was like, I'm breaking the rule. My own personal dumb rule. I mean, this goes back to the fact that I just set up dumb rules for myself. But I'm going to watch the Bad Batch. And I'll watch the Clone Wars. And then I'll get to Rebels. In that case, I feel like I should finish Clone Wars before I get to Rebels. But I feel like in the case of the Bad Batch, it's like it's a spinoff, right? It's not technically like, like if you were watching Rebels and there's like references, like tons of references to the Clone Wars that, only people who have seen the Clone Wars would understand. I feel like the Bad Batch is a little looser, right? And maybe Rebels is also. But in this case, since it's currently airing, I'm like, I'm just going to watch it. Because I got to stop, it's the same thing with the new Saw movie that's out, Spiral. I was like, I should watch every single Saw movie before I see Spiral. And I'm like, another part of me is like, is that necessary? Can't you just go see the new Chris Rock movie? I make it too complicated for myself, but that is the life of a completionist. And the completionist who wants to go in order, or at least in release order. You set yourself up for doom. But I said screw it, and I'm watching The Bad Batch, and I enjoy it. And if I have anything more to say about it in the future, I'll definitely bring it up. I like it so far.